Welcome to History's Mysterious Minds, where we step into the fog-shrouded spaces between history and hysteria, fact and folklore. Tonight, we journey back to the year 1518, to a small European city, to a cobblestone street that became a stage for something no one could explain. It began with one woman. She danced, then another joined, and then dozens, unable to stop. No music, no festival, just frantic movement, day and night, until their feet bled and some collapsed, never to rise again. This is the strange and haunting story of the dancing plague of 1518, a medical mystery that continues to puzzle the world. In July 1518, the city of Strasbourg, then part of the Holy Roman Empire, was alive with summer bustle. Merchants bartered, priests preached, life was ordinary, until Frau Trophea stepped into the street and began to dance. No explanation, no joy on her face, just endless compulsive movement. She danced alone at first, her feet tapping out a rhythm that only she could hear. Passers-by stopped, watching in confusion as she spun and twirled, her body moving with a frenetic energy that seemed beyond her control. Hours passed, and still, she danced. By nightfall, she had collapsed from exhaustion, only to rise and continue the next day. Her neighbours, initially amused, soon grew concerned. Attempts to speak with her were met with vacant stares. She was lost in the rhythm, her body moving as if possessed. The townspeople whispered among themselves, speculating about the cause of her strange behaviour. Frau Trophea's relentless dancing continued for days. Her movements grew more erratic, her body showing signs of strain. Still she could not stop. Her feet became raw and blistered, but she danced on, driven by an unseen force. As the days wore on, others began to join her. At first, it was one or two curious onlookers, then more. Within a week, dozens of people were dancing uncontrollably through the streets of Strasbourg. Men and women, young and old, all moved in unison, their bodies writhing in a collective trance. The city was in turmoil. Families searched for their loved ones, only to find them lost in the madness of the dance. Children clung to their parents, frightened by the sight of so many people moving in such a strange and unnatural way. By late July, up to 400 people were caught in the dance. Not playful, not festive. Their faces showed fear, pain, blankness. Some collapsed. Others reportedly died of exhaustion, heart attacks, or strokes. The city council was overwhelmed. No one could explain what was happening. Physicians were consulted, but their diagnoses were no more enlightening. Some suggested that the dancers were suffering from hot blood, a condition they believed could be cured by more dancing. Others speculated that the affliction was a form of demonic possession or divine punishment. The city leaders were at a loss. Desperate to find a solution, they turned to the church, seeking spiritual intervention. Priests conducted exorcisms and prayers, but the dancing continued unabated. Doctors examined the dancers and found no signs of anything supernatural. They ruled out possession and attributed it to heated blood and imbalance. Their solution? Let them dance it out. Musicians were hired and a stage was built. The strange outbreak turned into a public event. Drummers, pipers and fiddlers played as dancers moved in a special city space. But the music only seemed to fuel the frenzy. More people joined, some collapsing from exhaustion. Officials, hoping to control the situation, encouraged the dancing to continue, believing it would help. Instead, the music intensified the chaos, pulling even more into the uncontrollable dance. The musicians played non-stop, their music filling the streets of Strasbourg. The dancers moved in time, their bodies twitching in a strange, unsettling rhythm. But there was no joy, only desperation. As days passed, many dancers collapsed from exhaustion. Some suffered serious health problems from the strain. Still, the music played on, and the dancers seemed unable to stop. The city fell into chaos. Families mourned, and others searched for a cure, but no answer came. The endless dance went on, a haunting, grim spectacle. After nearly a month, the dancing began to fade. Whether from exhaustion or fear, the streets grew quiet. Survivors were taken to a shrine of St. Vitus, a saint linked to neurological disorders. Many arrived barefoot, injured, and worn down. The The strange event ended as mysteriously as it started. The remote shrine was believed to hold healing powers. The afflicted were brought there, hoping the saint's blessing would ease their suffering. Prayers and rituals offered comfort and relief. In the weeks that followed, the dancers grew fewer. Strasbourg returned to normal, but the memory of the strange episode stayed. The city was forever changed. For many years, experts have shared different ideas about what caused the event. Some believe it was a strong emotional response to stress and difficult times. Others think it may have been influenced by a natural substance sometimes found in rye bread. However, neither explanation fully explains how many people were involved or how long it lasted. The emotional response idea suggests that feelings of worry and tension spread quickly, encouraging people to join in the dancing. This fits with how fast it began and the absence of a clear physical cause. The natural substance idea suggests that certain foods may have caused unusual but natural reactions. Yet, it doesn't explain why so many took part or why it lasted so long. In the 1500s, belief in saints and divine punishment was part of daily life. To the people of Strasbourg, suffering was seen as a sign of wrongdoing or spiritual trouble. Many believed St. Vitus could cause uncontrollable movement, a real and feared punishment. When the dancing began, it was seen as a moral issue, not a medical one. Clergy spoke of judgment, and townspeople feared the dancers had upset the saints or worse. Fear spread as fast as the dancing. Some dancers were taken barefoot to holy places, while others were prayed over or cared for with rituals. In a time between science and faith, belief guided the city's response. To understand why Strasbourg faced this strange event, we must look at the bigger picture. In 1518, the city was under great strain. Years of famine had damaged crops and caused hunger. Flooding from the Rhine River spread illness and forced people from their homes. Religious tension was rising with the coming Reformation. The poor were frustrated, the rich were uneasy, and the church worked hard to keep its influence. In this difficult time, people looked for release. Dancing became more than joy. It was a way to express pain and struggle when words were not enough. The streets showed a city at its breaking point. It may sound strange, hundreds dancing without control until they collapse. But modern psychology shows it can happen. Mass psychogenic illness, or mass hysteria, has been seen in recent times. From the Tanganyika laughter epidemic in the 1960s to fainting at schools or workplaces, stress and social influence can cause symptoms to spread without a physical cause. While today's stress is different, people still respond to pressure. Social reactions can spread quickly, sometimes in surprising ways. Could it happen again? Maybe not the same, but under stress. Yes, it still can. What makes the dancing plague so chilling is the consistency of historical records. Chroniclers describe dancers foaming at the mouth, limbs convulsing, and eyes rolling back in their heads. Some spoke gibberish, others sang or wept, but most simply collapsed. A few accounts claim dancers continued even after their feet were bloodied raw, skin torn, bones visible. Some kept moving even while being carried away. And perhaps most disturbingly, some seemed fully aware of what was happening, terrified but unable to stop. The descriptions weren't passed down as myth. They came from civic records, physician notes, and council reports. The event wasn't a fairy tale, it was documented fact, and that's what makes it even more terrifying. If there's one ironic twist in the Strasbourg plague, it's this. The cure may have been the fuel. The musicians hired by the city council weren't there to entertain. They were summoned to heal. The belief was that music, rhythm, and structured movement could release the bad humours and bring the dancing to a natural conclusion. But what if it did the opposite? Some theorists suggest the steady rhythmic drumming, combined with hypnotic melodies and the collective energy of the crowd, induced a kind of trance state, like a form of early hypnosis or ritual possession. One dancer joins, then another, until reason is drowned by rhythm. It raises a profound question. Was music the cure or the contagion? Could the dancers have been making a statement, consciously or not? Some modern historians argue the event was a kind of social rebellion, a protest without words. In a society where women had little voice, where peasants had no power, and where the church dominated thought, dance became the only outlet for desperation. A dance of despair, of trauma, of unspoken grief. But this theory is complicated. The dancers didn't appear empowered. They were afraid. Many begged for help. Others tried to stop but couldn't. If it was protest, it came from the body's deepest recesses, not from calculated rebellion, but from raw human suffering. Strasbourg's outbreak wasn't the first, nor the last. In 1237, a group of children reportedly danced through the streets of Erfurt, Germany. In the 1370s, dancers swarmed the streets of Aachen. In each case, the same symptoms: uncontrollable movement, exhaustion, and fear. Some of these events were linked to celebrations or religious festivals. Others seemed to appear out of nowhere. But the consistency across regions and centuries suggests something more than isolated madness. It suggests a shared vulnerability, a cultural pattern, a repeating scar in the psyche of pre-modern Europe. And Strasbourg's plague, it was just the most infamous. The dancing plague of 1518 sits at the crossroads of medicine, psychology, folklore, and faith. It defies clean explanation, and maybe that's the point. It reminds us that the line between the mind and body is thinner than we'd like to admit. That trauma doesn't always cry out, it sometimes dances. That fear can take shape, and that in moments of collective despair, reason may not be the first to speak, or the last to move. For nearly a month, a city spun out of control. Bodies moved where minds had no say. It was real, it was tragic, and it's never fully been explained. The dancing plague of 1518 isn't just a medical mystery, it's a mirror, a reflection of how people suffer, and how societies respond when logic fails. We may never know exactly what caused it, but we know it happened, and that the streets of Strasbourg once echoed with footsteps no one could control. If this episode stirred something in you, please like, subscribe, and share History's Mysterious Minds. It helps bring more of history's forgotten stories into the light. Have a legend, haunting, or historical anomaly you want us to explore? Reach out, we're always listening. Until next time, stay curious, and if the music starts playing, maybe don't dance.